Today, we're going to dive into a really fascinating story. It's about how one of the world's absolute favorite tourist destinations is rebuilding its most important industry after a massive shock. We're talking about Thailand's hotels and their journey to a future that's super high-tech and, at the same time, incredibly green.
So, let's just set the scene. Cast your mind back to 2019. Thailand's tourism industry was at its absolute peak. With that amazing food and those stunning beaches, the country welcomed nearly 40 million visitors. Business was just booming.
And then, well, the world came to a halt. By 2020, the pandemic hit, and that incredible number just fell off a cliff, down to less than 6 million people. It was a total gut punch to an industry that is the absolute lifeblood of the Thai economy.
So, that brings us to the big question, right? How on earth does a whole industry come back from something this massive? Well, it turns out the answer isn't about just trying to turn back the clock. It's about building something completely new.
You see, this was way more than just empty beaches. Tourism is a huge piece of the global economy, so when it stopped, it sent a massive shockwave through Thailand. It basically left its most important industry standing at a major crossroads. And here's what's so interesting. The recovery isn't just about getting people to book flights again. The whole experience of the pandemic actually changed what we as travelers want and expect. Our priorities are different now, and the industry has to adapt. It really has no other choice. Okay, so the first big engine driving this new reality, it's technology. Because while so much of the world was on pause, the development of artificial intelligence, AI, it basically hit the fast-forward button. And that created all these incredible new possibilities for every industry, but especially for hospitality. So what are we really talking about when we say AI in a hotel? Forget the sci-fi robots for a minute. In the real world, it's about smart systems that can help the staff make sense of a ton of information and even predict what a guest might want to make their stay that much better. And what's wild is how practical this stuff has become. We're talking about chatbots that can handle your booking questions 24/7, facial recognition so you can check in seamlessly, and even voice controls in your room. This isn't some far-off future concept. This tech is being used in hotels right now. But there's a catch. There's some real hesitation here. A lot of hotels, and especially the smaller boutique ones that really build their reputation on personal service, they're worried. They're afraid that too much tech might erase the one thing that makes them special, that genuine human connection. All right, now for the second big engine behind this transformation. Happening at the exact same time as this tech boom is a massive global shift in what we all care about. More and more, travelers are demanding that hotels operate in a way that's responsible and sustainable. And sustainability is way more than just a buzzword. For a hotel, it really means finding new ways to operate that actually improve the guest experience, while at the same time shrinking their environmental footprint. We're talking using fewer resources and creating a whole lot less waste. And if you dig into it, you see that real sustainability has to stand on 3 legs. First, it has to make financial sense for the business. Second, it obviously has to protect the environment. And third, it has to actually benefit the local people and their culture. It's the whole package. Okay, now this is where things get really, really cool. The secret sauce here isn't looking at AI and sustainability as 2 separate things. The real power, the real game changer, happens when you put them together. They create this incredible synergy. Let's make this real. Think about an old-school hotel problem, like all the food that gets wasted from a buffet. Well, now you can have an AI that predicts what guests are likely to eat, and it just slashes that waste. Or what about huge energy bills? Smart systems can automatically power down the AC and lights in rooms that are empty. It's just smarter. You can literally draw a straight line from these AI tools to real-world sustainable results. For example, predictive analytics, that's just a fancy way of saying using data to guess what's needed. Well, that cuts down on wasting food and other resources. Smart room controls, lower energy use, obviously. Even simple things like chatbots mean you don't need to print thousands of paper menus. And dynamic pricing AI helps make sure the hotel stays profitable, which hits that financial pillar of sustainability we just talked about. So you can see the path forward is all about building this completely new kind of hotel. But it's a really delicate balancing act. You've got to use all this amazing high tech for efficiency, but you can't lose that essential human touch. In this quote right here, it gets right to the heart of it. The employees, the people on the front lines, they seem to get it. They believe that while a machine can handle a task, the actual job of making a guest feel welcome and special, that's always going to be a human's job. And that right there is the big mind shift. The point of all this AI isn't to get rid of staff. It's to empower them. It's about letting the technology handle all the boring, repetitive stuff so that the human employees are freed up to focus on what people do best: being creative, showing empathy, and providing that incredible, personal service you never forget.
So what's the playbook here? For any hotel leaders, the key takeaways are these. You've got to build a culture that embraces this new technology. You have to invest in retraining your staff for these new kinds of roles. You need to see that investing in sustainability isn't a cost. It's a huge competitive advantage. And above all, you have to use technology to make the human element even better, not to get rid of it.
Which kind of leaves us with this one big final question. As Thailand's hospitality industry reinvents itself, it's really chasing a new definition of luxury, one that's incredibly efficient, deeply sustainable, and wonderfully personal. The question is, can they prove that the ultimate luxury experience is a perfect blend of high-tech and human?